So I'll start with what I have. I had predicted what Dr. Pandit might ask, so I'll just start with this. So what I made a quick list, what he might object to, so I'll start with that. So AV as a omen, and I already responded to that, like why it would be. Moon evidence is as analogies, okay, and say, hey, can you say that every day? You can say full moon every day. My point is, that is precisely the point. The Mahabharata text in 18 days of the war, it doesn't talk of full moon every day. It could have. Actually, people were dying right from the day one. It didn't. It specifically talks from the 12th day, and again I will ask you to go use some astronomy software or start observing the sky, and start seeing for the whole month and do it few times. You will see around the Amavasya, you have to get up early to see the moon and all that. There is not much that you can see. I mean, the moon, you don't describe moon because you don't almost see it, or if you see it, there is nothing. On the other hand, around the full moon time, you see it as a full moon. You will not able to distinguish between the 13th day full moon and the full moon like full moon and so on and so forth. Shakra Amavasya, I'll refer to that quickly. Adhika Masa, I will also refer to that. Very, very interesting. And I may not get time in 10 minutes, so I may verbally say this. I would say most of the objections of Dr. Manish Pandit, but also many of the other Mahabharata researchers fall into this straw man fallacy. What they do is, they take a specific claim of mine, then they twist it and make it a simpler to attack, and then they attack it. Okay. So, for example, Manish would relate to that, but those of you who understand Marathi otherwise, this is a problem. So, we were discussing during the break, so Samula Grantha Pailya Vina, Ramdas Swami, Shivaji's guru, Samula Grantha Pailya Vina, Ugacha Tevi Jo Dushana, Guna Sangata Avaguna, Pahe to Yeka Padata Murkha. The person without reading the full book, Murkha Lakshana, this is, without reading the whole book, okay, just makes a judgment. And when somebody says a good thing about that certain claim, just points out to something that is not good. He is a learned fool, okay. Or the other one same says, Akshare Galuni Vachi. Selectively somebody wants to drop certain arguments, okay. Kate Ghali Padarichi, or put some own words into somebody's mouth. Nigana Kari Pustakachi, doesn't give justice to that book. To Yeka Murkha. I mean, you will see that lots of these things, and this happens. Most of these arguments, I will say, are strawman fallacies. Quickly, Shakra Amavasya. Shakra Amavasya is very clearly stated in Mahabharata. And so, the strawman actual issue versus actual issue. Now, this has shifted, guys. Strawman versus actual issue. Okay, so I hope you can read that. So, objection is, and Manish Pandit said, Nilesh considers Amavasya in Vishakha as Shakra Amavasya. Professor Achar has said that. Professor Achar has said that. So, can Amavasya of 16 September or 16 October be considered Shakra Amavasya? I'll go fast through this. Shakra Amavasya in our times is a Kartika Amavasya, and Professor Achar, since he claims that as a Kartik, he is agreeing with it. Now, everyone has to understand the positions of the full moon or Amavasya is not exactly at the same point every year. It shifts within a region. Okay, that's how the moon thing happens. So, what I did is, this is the verse, Tam Hau Shakra Devatam. What I'm showing you is the position of the Amavasya for Shakra Amavasya for last 11 years. You see that? The actual position, meaning sun and moon together, perfectly together, is happening from somewhere in Nakshatra Vishakha to Mula. Now, what I am claiming is 16 September as a Shakra Amavasya. Now, would you say that would qualify as a Shakra Amavasya based on our current standards? If you are stunned, I will give you the answer. Yes, you can. Because the range for Shakra Amavasya in our last 11 years went from Vishakha to Mula. That's what I am showing with the blue dots, blue crosses. And the position of Shakra Amavasya that occurred on 16 September 5561 BCE was where I show with the red cross. It falls within the range. It will qualify as a Shakra Amavasya. Everyone understands that? If you are stunned, guys, you are not ready for astronomy. I mean, I'm truly telling you. On the other hand, what he said in the previous section, about the Adhika Masa and everything, and if you understood, you are way ahead of me in astronomy, because I did not, when he was talking about the Adhika Masa. Okay. Alright, so let's get to Adhika Masa. Strawman versus this. Dr. Pandit claims that no Adhika Masa can be shown for 5561 BCE per Shunyashipa method. You see my prediction ability? The Shunyashipa method, let's understand about it. And when I asked the question, what is the Shunyashipa method that was claimed by Professor Achar, he said he couldn't explain it. I mean, that's perfectly okay, but Professor Achar has also not explained it. You know where it comes from? It is a conjecture, guys, nothing proved about this. You know, it is a conjecture of late P.V. Hole, another great astronomer. And he had suggested, and that's a beautiful suggestion, I'll show you a picture if I have one, what could be, and he said, and thank you for saying that correct thing, he said there are 13 full moons in 5561 BCE, I mean that year, okay. It can, he said, but problem is from April to whatever there are no 13, that's not the problem. The Shunashipa method goes like this, okay. Actually, if it accepted, I have not claimed Shunashipa method, it is their claim, I am saying it applies for me, it shows good for 5561, it is a disaster for 3067 BCE, okay. So it cannot be shown to be for not valid. So Achar here, page number 71 of his book, reference number 74, he refers to Shunashipa method. In a simple language, you start with the star called Alhina, it's also called Ardra, and what happens is, from there you start counting the full moons. If there are 12 full moons before you hit the Ardra, not Ardra, the Alhina again, which is the Ardra star, if only 12, no Adhika Mas. You follow? Like you start looking for a full moon from there, and if there are 13, then there is a Adhika Mas. Are you with me? I am going to show you something very fascinating for 5561 BCE and Mahabharata. When Bhishma says, Maghoyam samanu prapto masa punyo yudhishthira, that Maghoyam, those of you who understand Sanskrit, there is that hesitation in the sense of he saying, I think it is the month of Magha. I think. And why think if there is a calendar, so to say? And of course, there is a calendar, but there is some hesitation. Let's see why that hesitation possibly, you know. This is something new I found when I was preparing for this debate. Okay, so you start this first moon after, it has to be after the Ardra, I mean the Alhina, and there are 12 full moons, and there is also 13th. And full moon, which we both agree, because he said there are 13 moons, and that's what I'm saying, and that's the definition. There is nothing about the month when it begins. It has to begin after Alhina, and there has to be 13. Now this one is right on the verge. For example, Alhina position is 23 hours 54 minutes, this is the right ascension, and the full moon position that time was 23 hours and 53 minutes. Now definitely it's still before, so there are 13 full moons, but the problem is somebody, you know, visually looking at it or whatnot might say, well, do I count here or do I count here? That could be the hesitation that led to possibly Bhishma saying Maghoyam samanu prapto, okay. And you just do this, that's fine. If you look at 3067, guess what? These are 12 in 3067 using Shunashipa method, and if you go for 13th, I don't know if you can see it, and you know this will be on the slides and you can go and simulate it. That full moon, the 13th full moon, is near Punarvasu, which is east of Alhina. There is no Adhik Mas per Shunashipa method in 3067 BCE. Okay, so that's just as gone. All right, so let me get my notebook and answer some of the questions because I didn't have a time to prepare. Okay, so some of the objections. Vakra versus retrograde. Okay, so Dr. Pandit objected to my Vakra and retrograde. Here is what I want to show you, how beautiful it matches for 5561 BCE. So Vakra in Mahabharata, in our times Vakra, Vakri, which means retrograde. Those people who understand astronomy may know that. I am asserting in Mahabharata times Vakra did not mean retrograde. Here is the proof. Vakra comes in three cases. Magha Swangarako Vakra, Shravaneicha Brahaspati. So one time for Magha, near Magha, Mars doing near Magha, that O, wherever you see the O in the picture. Okay, and then also with a Brahaspati near Shravana Nakshatra. It also comes against Krutva Changarako Vakra, Jeshtaya Madhusudana Anuradha. So near that another one that you see O here between 13 and 14, those are the three Vakra. Now if it's a retrograde, here is the challenge. Between just 7 nakshatras, Mars will not go retrograde again. Mars rotation total is 1.88 years and it will go retrograde approximately once in 2 years. It will not go retrograde within 7 nakshatra. So it cannot be, okay. So just take as a tentative. Now what happens if truly retrograde motion happens? So if I am saying Vakra is not retrograde, immediately you should ask me, so show me the retrograde motions in Mahabharata. I mean, retrograde is a big deal. It happens and that's more spectacular. So Mahabharata should have noted in 1 year plus minus 1. Well, it has. Everywhere you see R. Quickly, so if you look at the outer planets, visible planets, which is what? Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. they go retrograde when they are exactly in opposition to the sun. They go superior. I mean, they are superior planets. They are exactly in opposition, and when they go retrograde, they become brighter. Again, there is a difference. This Jupiter and Saturn, no big deal, but in case of Mars, it goes extremely bright. Okay. Now let's look at the Mahabharata description. Samvatsara sthainancho graho prajwalito vubho. They are shining brightly. Vishakhaya samipasto Brahaspati Shanascharo. When it comes to Mars retrograde, what does it say? Dhruvam prajwalitam ghoram. Dhruvam meaning not the Dhruvadara. Many Mahabharata researchers have translated Dhruvadara. Nahi bhai, it's Dhruvam, fix. Dhruvam prajwalitam ghoram, double adjectives. Do you follow? Because Mars really gets Dhruvam prajwalitam ghoram apasavya pravartate. It started going in the other direction. That's what retrograde does. Chitra swatyantare chaiva dishtita parushagraha. I will encourage you to go and type these words and Mahabharata simulations. You'll see YouTube simulations that I have done, and you will see how that goes prajwalita and all that. Last one quickly and I'll stop, which is the third one is a Shukra, Venus. And Venus, when it goes retrograde, it does in two fashion. Either it does Z or it does a circle. Some of you may know this. In time of Mahabharata, it did a circle. How does it say? Shukram proshtapade purve, see near proshtapade purve, purva bhadrapada. Shukram proshtapade purve, samaruya vishampate, uttaretu parikrama, uttaretu parikramya sahita pratyudikshite. If you go for the 5561 BC plus minus 1 year, when Venus goes retrograde, you will see it makes a circle, and it makes a circle right next to Purva Bhadrapada. Thank you.
Right. So, basically I've predicted some of these things hopefully from the talk itself, from our previous interactions. So, I'll just go into a few of these things on 3067 BCE. First is the visibility of eclipses, which a lot of people have pointed out. I mean, it's not just Nileshok. Nileshok doesn't point this out, but there has been a researcher called Dieter Koch who has pointed this out in the past. So, I want to address that because it's highly important that we address it somewhere, so that people, if they're reading that criticism, that they come to know what it is. And the other problem is this Mars retrogression. Mars retrogression is a very peculiar problem. I mean, anyway, we'll go into it in a second. So, I'll come to that second sentence. So, Mars retrogression, the problem is Kritva Changarako Vakram Jesthaya Madhusudana. This particular verse is occurring just at the same time as Saptamachavi Divasa Tamavasya Bhavishyati Sangrami Yujyate Tasmat Tamhu Shakra Devatam. So, that Shakra Amavasya, Jeshtha Amavasya is occurring at the same time as Mars going retrograde, according to certain researchers. Well, it is occurring at the same sort of time in the text, so there is a problem. This is an astronomical impossibility as well, because that particular Mars has to be 140 degrees away from the Sun. So, if it is 140 degrees away from the Sun, at the time of making this statement, this particular Sun cannot be approaching at that particular point, at the same point. It has to be away. So, this statement has to be done much before. We can actually prove it has happened much before, but okay, anyway. Now, the other thing which I wanted to show is, can the war start on a Amavasya? This particular thing is highly important. War cannot start on the Amavasya. That particular moonrise, now this Chandrama Sudite Punaha thing is there, and I think this is there in Nileshji's book, that the moonrise has been obscured, etc. But we are proving that this 14th night moonrise has to occur in the eastern sky, and the eastern sky is a waning phase moonrise. There is no two ways about it. This thing proves that the war can't start on Amavasya, and this is one of the central tenets of a lot of hypotheses, including 5561 BCE. So, just to put that over here, and just to show you one of the other perfect fits over here, which is that the moon approaches sun towards Amavasya on the 14th day of the war, Rahuscha Grasadaditya Aparvani Vishampate. So, that has to occur on the last day of the war, and that has to be a Shravan Nakshatra. Okay. And we are correlating that particular timeline. Okay. So, let us come to this very quickly, the visibility of the solar eclipse in 3067 BCE. I have already explained a little bit about delta T. You can see these delta T, you can see how they vary. They are varying between different softwares itself. And this delta t is highly important because the delta t, this particular difference between the universal time and the other time, which is the terrestrial time, is going to become nearly 27 hours, between 18 and 27 hours for 3000 BCE. For 5000 BCE, I don't even know whether they, it must be far, way more than that. So it creates a very peculiar problem for whenever you're trying to simulate anything in the night sky. Now, so this thing means that it's a visibility calculation needing accurate value of delta t, which we don't have. And that means that this delta t uncertainty is the one problem which nobody can really resolve. What we say is that because even our solar eclipse has this problem that there is a gap of nearly 5 hours of delta t, but we know that it's the uncertainty is around 9 hours. So rotation of the earth by just this particular amount by 5 hours brings the eclipse into the partial eclipse range and it becomes visible, whereas that, in my opinion anyway, is not possible for 5561 BC's solar eclipse. Anyway, and these are just to show you 3 hours difference between the full moon calculations and new moon calculations, 3 hours between different softwares. The visibility of the lunar eclipses in 3067 BCE, there is no recorded history that any penumbral lunar eclipse has ever been recorded as such, but ESPENAC, who is the world authority on penumbral lunar eclipse, on lunar eclipses and solar eclipses, says that even an eclipse of lunar eclipse, penumbral lunar eclipse of magnitude 0.22 can also be visualized given the right conditions. So we are actually saying that did the penumbral lunar eclipses in 3067 BC occur? We in fact say that it has to be Aparvani. Aparvani, we think, that is our statement, that the eclipses in the Mahabharata war have to occur before the war, and it has to be Aparvani also. Aparvani lunar eclipses cannot be anything else other than penumbral lunar eclipses, and we are saying that there are 2 lunar eclipses, one before, one after, and there is a short lunar fortnight of just 13, well, it's less than 14 days, whereas in the case of 5561 BC, there is a separation between that thing which is more than 14 days. Well, it depends on how you calculate it anyway. So that is. So this is ESPENAC, who is the world expert. He says penumbral lunar eclipses can go as low as 0.22 magnitude very subtly in the evening sky. We are certain this eclipse was observed. Now, the other thing which I think Nilesh pointed out is what about the 18 days of the war? And the 18 days of the war, you might have noticed I have not shown anywhere what is the first day of the war, what is the condition of the first day of the war. I am simply corroborating that those particular things are occurring in a particular sequence right from Jyeshtha Amavasya, and we can show that. Unfortunately, we have got very little time to do that in this particular presentation. There is a Mars retrogression which Nilesh, that was one of the things which he said, that the Mars retrogression is occurring not at Anuradha. It in fact, if you look at it using the Pushyapaksha Ayanamsha, it is exactly at the start of that particular Vishakha Nakshatra, and then it goes away from it, because as we said earlier, actually in that year this particular thing cannot occur. It's astronomical impossibility unless you say that it has occurred at a different time in the past. Now, I just want to explain chapter 3 of Bhishma Parva, why we are saying these are comets. Now, we actually say Dhumaketur Mahaghora. This is, Dhumaketu is a comet. There is no two ways about it. This is a terrible comet at Pushya. We are saying Halley's comet is seen with a 75.32 year orbital period in October, November, December of 3067 BCE. It is seen at Pushya. It is simulated and it is seen. We want it renamed as Vyasa's comet. Okay, that we are hopefully going to formulate an appeal for that. Now, this particular verse, for example, so we are going to give you verses after verses. Kritikasu grahas tivro nakshatre prathame jwalan. Something which obscures the plate stars like a Dhumaketu. Here you go again. No planet can do that. This is again a comet. We are not just saying that these are comets just for the heck of it. There you go. Graha tamranano shikhau. Does any graha have a shikha? This is again, and is it something which can ever obscure the Saptarishis? Saptarishi udaranam samavachhadhyavai prabhan. No planet can do that. It's only comets. These are comets. We are only giving you Varamhira's Brihat Samhita not because of anything else, but these verses are occurring almost similar to that Varahamihira chapter 13 verse 7. Okay. Then Bhagyam Nakshatram Akramya Suryaputrena Pidhyate. Akramya Suryaputra. This Suryaputra, we think, we are pretty certain, again it is occurring in, there is a tradition of calling them as comets as the sons of various stars. So, Varahamihira's Brihat Samhita, Garga Parashara, there is a long history of that. Dhruva Prajwalito Ghora Apasamaya Pravartate. This thing, this apasavya business, apasavya is a very different term. It is not retrograde. Apasavya we use every day in Jyotish. Apasavya is clockwise, anti-clockwise movement. This has got nothing to do with retrogression. But this Dhruva Prajwalito, again, word, this we are saying Dhruva is in Varahamihira's list of comets. It has got to be a comet. Okay. Now, so we have explained all those things, leaving the ambiguous names, Lohitanga, Parusho, Sadhuma, Sapavakaha, okay, Pavaka Prabha. Kritika we think is a comet, but these others are speculations. You can speculate. I can say Lohitanga is Mars. He can say, you can say Lohitanga is maybe Jupiter. Parusha Graha can become Rahu, Parusha Graha can become Ketu, Parusha Graha can become something else. Every researcher has indulged in all these sort of things. We don't want to indulge in those, and especially we don't want to start seeing Uranus, Neptune and Pluto with our naked eyes, as has happened in 5561 BCE. So anyway, what we are saying is that 110 plus researchers have made this mistake with chapter 3. The main problem is this chapter 3 of Bhishma Parva, otherwise everything else actually then starts going somewhere else. Why can Saturn, therefore what we are saying is Saturn can only be at Rohini Nakshatra. Okay, Saturn can only be at Rohini. This is highly important. Now the theory on Bhishma's death, what we are saying is the day has to be not more than 5 days after the day of winter solstice. Why 5 days? Do you know why 5 days? Okay, let me show you. Anyway, corroboration in 3066 BCE, so the next year, 13 Jan 3066 BCE, we are showing you exactly where it is occurring, what it is occurring. Now why we are saying it like this about Bhishma Ashtami? The sun stays still. What is the meaning of solstice? Sol, sistere, the sun stands still. Okay, this is behind that December 25th thing also of Jesus' rising. This is what it is. It stays still for 3 days after winter solstice, 14, 15, 16, Jan 3066. Then it moves 1 degree northwards. And look at that verse. Sa niryo gajapura dhyajake parivaritaha. Drishtva nivrittam adityam pravrittam chottarayanam. Drishtva, Yudhishthir says, I saw the sun move northward. Can the sun move northward, seen with the naked eye, on the next day? It is impossible. Okay, this is till today. You can go, you can try it anytime. Go and do a Google search on this. I am telling you, this is what the problem is. No other researcher can corroborate this. Okay, there you go. Now, there it is. So the Yudhishthir leaves Hastinapur after observing the actual movement of the sun north in Uttarayana. That is why that 17 January. And the most important thing, there is another particular verse which clarifies one of the verses in the Mahabharata, and that is Prajapatye cha nakshatre madhyam parapte divakare. Now, some people say this is an interpolation, you can't take this verse and so on and so forth. Fine. But this is Rohini Nakshatra. Bhishma has to die on Rohini Nakshatra and when the sun is overhead. And that we can show is actually occurring in 3066 BCE.
So you mentioned Halley's comet seen in 3067 BC. What you will see near Pusha. In fact, interesting thing about Halley's comet is, unless it is in what do you call that, visible, what is the astronomy word for that, aphelion, right? Unless it's visible, like visible from the sky, like when it comes every 70 years, 75 years or so, it's visible, you know. When it's not visible, that is when it is near Pushya Nakshatra. So if you had a telescope, for example, No, you don't I mean, you can say that it's there,
I say I
So-
don't agree.
Yeah.
But anyway.
You say disagree, right?
That
That's
is fine.
easy. Yeah. So that's when you say it, and you can go and actually try in the YouTube. I mean, I have made that simulation and left it there. It said like a Pushya Nakshatra, or sorry, Halley's comet near Mahabharata or during Mahabharata. Try like this. What happens is for 75 years it is there near Pushya. And when it comes into aphelion, it disappears from there, because it will go through the different nakshatras and come back and stay there for this. I would say that, I mean, giving a name of Vyasa is a great, but let's not give it because it was visible in 3067. It was not visible in 3061 BC. It was not visible in 5561 BC. However, the description that it was near Pushya matches for 3061 BC, it matches for 5561 BC. In fact, it matches most of the time. It just doesn't match when it is seen from the earth. If you want to go, then I will go next point.
Okay, so you're saying about the Mars crossing. So anyway, I disagree with your statement. That's
Perfect.
fine. Anyway,
It's on the camera. I
that's
love
fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is okay. So Mars crosses the ecliptic is what you're saying, describing your revolutionary Vakra motion
that.
theory.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now here is there is a glaring problem with this observation, and that is that the moon also crosses the ecliptic obliquely. Can the moon ever be Vakra? Can the moon and the sun ever be Vakra? I am saying because sun anyway is the ecliptic, so that's fine. But can the moon ever be Vakra?
If we use this definition, then absolutely yes.
So there is the according to me, this is astronomical absurdity. It is impossible.
Just say
That
why
is
it
what.
is absurd. No,
Well,
let me
because the
answer.
moon
Let me respond to that then.
because the moon can never be retrograde according to astronomy. I mean, you're
correct.
claiming it as a Vakra theory.
No. You confuse the whole thing. In fact, I am saying when Mahabharata is saying Vakra, it is oblique crossing of a planet across the ecliptic. It doesn't have to. I am saying it's not retrograde. So moon can go Vakra and still not
fine.
retrograde.
Okay. In which case that is a different.
Yeah,
different
sun and moon
now,
will never go retrograde.
Now Mars crosses the ecliptic. Actually, you are saying Magas, because the verse is Magas Sangarako
Yes.
Vakro
Yeah.
Shravanechya Brahaspati, but it is not crossing at Regulus at Magha.
You are
It is
correct.
crossing at Punarvasu.
Around Rohini, no.
Yeah, at well.
Around Rohini Punarvasu, fine. So the question is why it is says Magha. So what we have to look for is a consistency. So actually, I mean, again, no time for doing this, but
Unfortunate.
So this is the ecliptic, and it's on the one side, and it's now crossing the ecliptic going on the other side. Now what happens is sometimes it's a very sharp crossing, other times it's not. So when it's not a sharp crossing, imagine like a flight, Singapore London flight going over India. And where are we going to describe? Did it go over Hyderabad? Did it go over Chennai? Did it go over Mumbai? Something they will pick, So what happens is, but for Magha, it has completely crossed and came on the other side, like a northern side, and a distinct star when it can be very clearly noticed is Magha. Now, is that description consistent? It is, because then again it crosses on the other side near Jeshta Anuradha. That is the description. So that's why it's consistent.
Okay, I mean, I disagree, but that's fine. I mean, that's okay. Now, shall I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kritikasu grahastivro nakshatre prathame jwalan.
Yeah.
You're claiming that to be Pluto in your discussion, but can Pluto be seen with the naked eye, and
Great
will
point.
it ever rob the Pleiades stars?
Okay, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto cannot be seen with the visible eyes. In fact, Uranus can be seen, but that's only if you happen to know and you have a great eyesight. Okay, so for practical purposes, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto cannot be seen. How we have claimed is, remember, go back to my theory again. That's why the theory statement is very important. All astronomy observations of the Mahabharata text are actual, factual, visual observations of the sky of Mahabharata times. Now, can you see with the naked eye? We never claimed that. Actually, it's Dr. Pavartak, that I'm just reiterating. There are 3 instances of 7 planets, in Mahabharata. First instance, it says 7 planets were seen sort of around the sun, just before the war or something. Then another one on the 17th day, Karna's time, it says 7 planets were going away from the sun. Okay. Now, all of this is in my book, so you can go read that. And on the 14th day evening, there is a description of 7 planets attacking the moon. 14th planet. Now, when I looked at it, so Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, we found them recently, that's what we think. When I looked for that 7 planets, all I'm simply saying is, with the modern astronomy software, is that if you want to explain those 3 verses, and if you see, assuming that they are there in the sky in the right positions, they can be explained. These three references can be clearly explained. So all I'm saying is a corroboration. They were there. They were there in 5561 BC. I am nowhere claiming that they were seen with a naked eye.
Okay, I disagree. I want to follow up that. Mars and Saturn are actually on they are separated by 122 degrees from each other in that particular instance which you are talking about. So how can they be together?
Okay, Mars.
Different sides of the sun.
Jupiter.
Mars and Saturn, I think, yeah.
Where did that occur though? Oh no.
The 7 planets which are flying together, you're saying.
Right.
Because you're claiming, okay,
I got
these
the
guys
question.
won't understand. Just
No, I got the question. So he's saying Mars and Saturn are other side of the sun. So obviously together they will not be seen. Okay. So just a quick answer. Go back to my book. Look for these 7 planets. One time around the sun, another time going away from the sun, third time attacking the sun. These are not the same 7 planets, because remember, in the planets, the sun is set when the moon is there, but the moon itself can be a planet in another time. So for example, Rahu Ketu, in fact I have not gone for a Rahu Ketu. I will encourage you to go and actually check the visible signs.
Pluto is actually seen between Rohini and Kritika, isn't it? I mean, anyway.
Yes, near Rohini.
Rohini and Kritika, oh, you have changed that thing now.
No, I have not changed.
So it is Rohini and Kritika, but the problem is that
it says Kritika, right? The description says Kritika, and actually it's between Rohini and Kritika. You are right.
Okay.
Okay, and the quick answer to that is, see, when you are visually seeing it, you have to accept a error of plus minus 1 nakshatra. In defining the tithi, in defining the phases, like you can look at the phase of the moon and say it's a Shashti, but it could be Saptami or Nomi and something like that.
But the ephemeris says that it is in Revati, isn't it?
No, that is the problem for 3067. In fact, nobody, now he just said Revati, I'm going to pick on that. No 3067 researcher talks about Jupiter. Do you know why?
Because Jupiter is near Revati in
that's the problem for 3067. Whereas what does Mahabharata says? In the vicinity of Vishaka, going Vakri near Shravana, and then on the 17th day of the war, which 3067 researchers are not aware, on the 17th day of the war, after the Karna dies,
Rohini.
after the sunset, it's afflicting Rohini.
Sir, it is
No, but hold on. So, whereas for 3067, it is at Revati. So, no researcher, Professor Achar does not talk about it.
Professor Achar doesn't. No, I have looked into it actually because I look into all these things.
So you disagree with Professor Achar? Go on.
Well, I mean, because you can see, even I have disagreed. You can see that I have disagreed even on the original, the cometry data. I have put out a completely new paper, and you want to look at it on academia. The paper is there on speculations about the comets and the planets, and I've used a very different method as compared to Professor Achar to actually define all those things. So that is some time ago.
My quick suggestion would be, in that case, you may want to start from the scratch, because the whole
I have.
The whole house of 3067 is on a very shaky floor. It began with Kali Yuga beginning 3102 BC, which Raghavan says, but Professor Achar doesn't agree. Dr. Pandit doesn't agree.
I never agreed with it.
Yeah, so why not start? So why did you accept that date?
But
in fact, just before you, if Professor Achar, instead of Professor Achar, if someone with a decent knowledge, reasonable knowledge of astronomy and some simple additions and calculations like that faulty timeline I talked about, 18 days, somebody would have immediately noticed there is a problem, and nothing wrong with that. We can all make mistakes. But instead of admitting that problem, that particular timeline from 1969 is continued to this day and is being defended blindly.
No, so the other thing which I wanted to say is the comets. Basically, we are completely going on a very different track from Dr. Achar on the comets. I am giving a very different explanation for the cometry data, and I showed some of that in the past in the previous talk. Anyway, okay, let me come to the.
Let me make a quick comment. Make a quick comment on the comets. So whether Dr. Pandit agrees with Professor Achar's theory of comets as a planets as a comets or not.
No, because he says it's Grahaputra, you see.
No.
And he takes the whole thing to mean Grahaputra, which is not.
Yeah, but the point is, whether it's Professor Achar or Dr. Pandit, if they are claiming that as a comet, okay, the scientific method, which is objective evidence, demands that wherever they call something as a comet near a certain nakshatra, they give a long explanations. I don't need long explanations. Find the shot and show me that there is a comet that is visible from the earth near that nakshatra in 3067, I won't have any questions on that planetary evidence. They cannot show even a single comet that will match as a planet. You know, he actually, I mean, Dr. Pandit said something about, like, you know, I gave actually one of the list. He said, I consider comets as planets. You know, Marathi saying, I would say choracha ulta bomba, or Hindi, what do you say? Chor ko kya? Kotwal date. See, what are the names? The names are Lohitango, Angarako, Bruhaspati, Shaneshcharo, Somaputro. I mean, these are well-known names for the planets, and now he is saying, I am claiming something that is a comet as a planet.
Because,
and what is the reference? Varahamir. What is the reference?
Yeah,
Atharva Shirsha Parishishta.
No, but Varahamira.
If you want to know about Mahabharat, get to Mahabharat.
No, but look. Now you are getting into a very different thing. Okay.
I am very consistent.
See, sir, no, you but consistently wrong. That's the problem.
Okay, that's for others
Saptarishi
to decide.
Udaranam
Go ahead.
Samavachadhyavaya Prabham. That verse is actually a very similar verse. Is in chapter 13 of and verse 7 of Varahamira's Brihad Samhita.
Excellent.
And it says that it is obscured by a comet over
Excellent.
there.
Excellent. Who came first, Mahabharata or Varahamira?
No, well, it may
came
well be the
first?
case, but
That matters. Varahamir, just like we are trying to make a sense of Mahabharata evidence, Varahamir would also be trying to make a sense of Mahabharata evidence.
But Varahamira gives a list of comets, and some of those comets actually end up having those names which you and 100 other
Yeah.
researchers are saying are planets.
Absolutely.
That is my point. That is not
so
true.
please note this down. You know, so these names that comes with a Shaneshchara, Bruhaspati, you agree, Lohitango. You know, these are the names. And now Dr. Pandit, Professor Achar are saying on the word of Varahamira that these are not planets but comets.
Not just that. You
Okay,
see,
please.
how can two planets, Prajwalita or whatever they may be, Jupiter and Saturn, ever obscure the Saptarishis? Ever obscure the Pleiades?
Great question. Again, it goes to the poetry. If you understand poetry, you can see that.
I mean,
You
it's
can
impossible.
disagree.
It's astronomically impossible.
You can disagree, but that's what it is. In poetry, you will see that.
Okay, so my question is to Dr. Pandit. How do you address the discrepancy which Mr. Nilesh pointed out about 5th December versus 9th December? That in a chronology, there's a gap of 3 or 4 days. How
Yeah,
do you
because
explain
the
that?
problem is we are not actually corroborating. I am not saying anything about the first day of the war over here. I am taking it back from 12th of December, back from there. You see, maybe I need to write a completely different book and show all those things exactly as they are. I mean, but these things will be coming out on a blog slowly. My problem is I'm doing 100 things at one time. I am a full-time doctor, so I have put out 5 papers so far. There will be another 5 or 6 papers. It will come out in that.
Okay.
I will address it in
Again, you have to ask the question, which is like you should have said the 26th.
because
22nd
November,
November is the first
because
day
you're
of the
saying
war.
22nd November is the first day of the war. The point is that if you count back from this, we will say 24th November in that particular case. You see, the thing with Srinivas Raghavan, Dr. Achar, all these people, none of them actually address these particular points. I am addressing each one of these points one by one. The cometary data, why the cometary data is consistent, why Jupiter's positions are like this, what are the 4 verses related to Saturn. I am addressing one by one all those things, but I have only 2 hands.
So as per you, it can be 22nd December or 22nd November or 24th November.
No, you see, it has to end on that Shravana Nakshatra with the Aparvani, Amavasya Aparvani, which is the Krishna Chaturdashi on that morning at around 6, and then Amavasya occurs at around 4. There is a particular reason why I am saying all this. Krishna Chaturdashi has got a specific meaning in India, as you know, Kali Chaudas. Yes? What is happening that night, you know? You remember? Saptika Parva, what is happening? After Duryodhan is dying, what all has occurred with Ashwathama? Do you remember all that? Right?
Yes, he massacred the winning army.
Yeah, do you see what I am trying to say? So this Kali Chaudas, this is the reason why this is Kali Chaudas. That is why I am saying no other researcher can take it back from that first thing, what I showed you about the mission of peace, which is Kaumude Mase Revatyam. From there to all the way to Bhishma Ashtami. And I also pointed out the thing that Bhishma cannot die one day after winter solstice. It has to be at least 3 days have to pass. You can see that even today. Solstice, the sun has stood still. It stands still for 3 days after that winter solstice, then it goes. Anyway, these are my points anyway. So
and you
Sorry.
know, just from a time perspective, actually, we have made, it seems like we have made a change depending on the time. We might have skipped the fourth session, and
yeah,
that's
I think
perfectly
we have,
okay.
we have skipped the
That's
first.
perfectly okay.
Because we have covered quite a lot.
Yeah, where we are going to give additional support for each of our claims.
Now, since you have moved the dates for Mahabharata, would you move the dates for Ramayana also?
I already
And
have.
for Yuga and Treta? And also, where is the 2000 year of history which you will like to give out?
Okay, which 2000 years of history?
From 3000 to 5000?
Okay.
So, the entire history of the world and the thing changes.
Okay.
So, what is the explanation?
Okay, so first thing, am I going to move the date of Ramayana? I mean, move from which date? I mean, 5114. I moved that long time ago, in 2014. Okay, it doesn't have a ground. 5144. Please read my book, The Historic Rama, or 12,209. That's the date. The second question. Now, what happens?
That means the even
No, just let him answer
Let me
first.
answer.
Let him
The
answer.
yeah, and then let's get to others too. So, second question, like what happened from now moving from 3000 to 5000? Well, 3000 as a basis, okay? I mean, for a calendar, it's a basis. Just for starting a calendar, there is no other reason, nowhere. Surya Siddhanta, Aryabhatiya. I mean, where does this come from? I mean, somebody gave it to us. We, the lazy tamasic people, never bother to question. Shankaracharya says, Jnanam na purushatantram kintu vastutantram. It doesn't depend on the opinion of people. It depends on actually that particular thing. It has to tell us. So, we haven't done that. Now, we are doing it in a way. And so, 3000, smash it.
So can I just say about Kali Yuga, because I have not addressed anything about Kali Yuga, Mahabharata dating 3067 BC is not dependent on Kali Yuga or anything like that. One of the things which the time is so short, it's impossible to address all those things. It's nearly a 2 or 3 hour talk. What the point is like this, that Saturn has to be at Rohini. Saturn at Rohini is a harbinger of doom for a very long time. And Pratyaksha Pramana, what you see with your eyes, is important, right? When was last Saturn at Rohini? When did it start retrogressing at that 17 degrees, in Rohini? 9/11. Before that, when was it at Rohini? It was at Bangladesh War. When was it at Rohini before that? Battle of Stalingrad. Exact start of Battle of Stalingrad and end of Battle of Stalingrad is based on Saturn's retrogression in Rohini. Before that, when is it? It's in the year of World War I. I mean, if you follow me on at Pandit, you will see hundreds of these correlations are there. The problem is, we are astronomers. These guys were Jyotirvids, means they are not just astronomers, but they are predicting things from these things. So our problems are myriad from that point of view. If we don't take that into consideration at all, then we are in a problem. Now, there are 139 dates in the past, 137 dates when Saturn was at Rohini up to around 3500 BCE. I have tried to back calculate even further, taking that and Mars near Antares, because you remember Mars near Antares or Jyeshtha is an astronomical problem. So the two things plus Halley's comet together, this triangulation can occur in no other year other than 3067 BCE. Anyway, that because because people asked why are you not saying how you arrived at this year. Yeah. So this is a grassroots, started from grassroots upwards. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. And I would say is that, therefore you need a clear statement of a theory. It should fall under that theory. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
A small question, sir.
For who?
For you.
Okay.
How are the Mahabharata teachings can guide the present youth of India?
Now that is important. That is more important.
I mean, I'll give a quick short answer. I mean, there is many ways to do it. First, I mean, we have handled it at Srijan before. Like first is a self-esteem, just as simple as that. Another one is a Sat. I mean, we want to go in search of Sat, the truth of anything. And why? Because it's a Satyena Labhyas Tapasa Yesha Atma. It doesn't say what kind of truth, truth of what. It says truth of everything, anything that you find passionate about. That's how you get to Atmadnyan. And then, tapasya, right? And then Samyak Jnanena, Brahmacharya Nityam, we need all these.
Swadhyaya.
Swadhyaya Pravachane.
So our schools, we were not taught about Mahabharata. Only I saw DD1 old episodes.
Okay, now, so that's, the time up for the textbook question. See guys, I mean, I don't know if you're working on a textbook. In some case, my limited capacity, when I work on my own dime and everything, I'm working for a textbook capacity. How many of you are working with a textbook related thing? No one. Right?
We are
Get
trying.
busy,
We are
guys.
trying to
If
get
you
into the
think like
textbooks.
we are going to do it. No. It
Can
won't
I just
happen.
quickly
Yeah, please,
add?
please,
You
please.
see, I started all this because of 2001. I was in Wolverhampton. There was a doctor from Lady Harding College in Wolverhampton. We had a junior doctor. We had a massive argument. I said, read the Bhagavad Gita, and this person said, I don't believe Krishna ever existed. So then that's when it suddenly the bell rang in my head. How can I ever prove that Krishna existed or not? That's how I've started all this
He
thing.
also did not believe. M.K. Gandhi also did not believe that Dr. Ramakrishna was some. Because he
No,
said,
Krishna was a historical person.
No, he said
That's
I don't
it.
believe because I never.
But
got
forget,
it.
forget,
Forget
you know,
who did or
I would
didn't,
say, I
but-
mean, again, great question. The guys, I mean, there was a specific context that we discussed, Mahabharata dating, blah, 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 right? I mean, you know, anytime you want to ask a question, sa prayojana sandigdha. It has to be contextual. It has to be because you have a doubt. You start like boiling the ocean. I mean, that's
That is
not
not
relevant.
point,
you know.
yeah.
That's another talk, you know.
Next. Okay, so before I ask my question, thank you. I mean, it's amazing, and like I told Mr. Pandit that you know, पहले यही होता था कि ये सारा myth है, और आज मैं खुश हूँ कि अब myth नहीं, अब dates पे लड़ाई हो रही है, and the knowledge is then further spreading कि भैया ये myth नहीं है, हम इसको date कर सकते हैं. I'm very happy. I mean, I'm the happiest here that at least इस पे शुरू हुए हम. मेरा प्रश्न आपसे है नीलेश जी से. ये प्रश्न ये है कि आपने बोला कि पहले ज़माने में जब हम वक्र कहते थे तो वक्र का मतलब रेट्रोगेड नहीं होता था. मैंने रामायण में भी इसके कुछ वो देखे हैं, एग्जाम्पल्स देखे हैं. आपका क्या मतलब है? उस वक्र नहीं होता है तो फिर उसकी क्या मूवमेंट है?
उसकी मूवमेंट, आई मीन, हमने डिस्कस किया, यू माइट हैव मिस्ड इट. सो वक्र इज लाइक रेट्रोग्रेड, लाइक इट बिकम्स स्टेडी और मेक्स अ सर्कल और मेक्स अ जी शेप इन दैट वंस रीजन. Meaning retrograde, sorry, okay. The Vakra of a Mahabharata, my theory or my claim is that it is so ecliptic, which is the sun's path in the sky, and just like moon sometime is on the other side of the sun. I mean, you don't see them together most of the time, and sometimes it's on the other, and that is that Rahu Ketu that is moving 18-year cycle, you know. So just like, you know, where basically it means the orbit of a planet where it cuts the ecliptic. They are almost in the same region, but it cuts the ecliptic. So when it crosses the ecliptic, I am saying that is a vakra as far as the Mahabharata.
So you're saying कि जब भी वो ecliptic उसमें आ जाता है वो वक्र कहलाता है because
हाँ, because it crosses obliquely. Like this is a ecliptic and it goes like this.
it goes like, so it's zigzag. Thank you.
And please specify. Please specify.
It was a very informative talk, and I think I have first time come and attended it on the recommendation of a friend. Just a layman's question, because today, you know, we are finding that the remnants of Dwarka and other cities are being found off the coast of India. And there is a time gap of 2000 years between the time which you people are talking about. Is there any scientific way, in case you can get those things dated and find out, is it telling at any point
I'll
of time?
follow after you.
I have, okay, I looked into this in great detail in 2008 when I was making Krishna History or Myth. I had a long chat with the Professor S.R. Rao. Professor S.R. Rao, I don't know if you heard his name, he's a world famous man. He gave me a lot of information on this, including one of the problems which you're going to face when you're diving in that part of the world, okay, in that ocean is extremely difficult to dive in, okay. There are cross currents and all whatnot. I don't know how they managed to do it. They have managed to do whatever they managed to do, okay. So it's highly important to realize that there are 7 bed Dwarkas, okay. I mean 7 Dwarkas ahead like that into the sea, and it is, unless somebody in the government sponsors all those things, which is it's a massive task to do all that, you are never going to find exactly those things leading to whatever time frame we are talking about, okay. None of those artifacts are leading to anywhere beyond 2000 BC or thereabouts.
No, actually they go back.
They go slightly back.
Long back. Actually, artifacts that you have found, found not just S.R. Rao team on the west coast, they go back all the way to 32,000 BC, all the way to our times, like 200 BC, 200 AD and so on. You can see that, 32,000 BC, and that's another lecture, how to connect 32,000. As far as, so just take my date, 5561 BC is the year of Mahabharata war. 36 years after the war, the Dwarka flooded. 5561 BC plus 36 is 5525. Understand the BC math, you know. So 5525 BC. There is sufficient evidence from around the world. Okay, I'll just say quickly 3. You go to Bahamas, there are 7 different locations, not just Bahamas, the whole Caribbeans. there was a sudden 6.5 meter rise plus minus 2.5 meters in 5600 BCE, okay, 5600 BCE plus minus 130 years. You come to Turkey, the Black Sea that you see is a saltwater sea, is no longer a saltwater sea. I mean, now it is a saltwater sea. Before, it used to be a sweetwater lake. Suddenly, when the sea rise went up, like from the ocean to Mediterranean to Aegean Sea, the Sea of Marmara, if you have gone to Istanbul, the Bosphorus channel, water started flooding into the Sweetwater lake. Then it turned brackish. It turned instantaneously brackish in a very, very short time. You can take a guess of that short time, 5550 BC plus minus 30-40 years. Come to the west coast of Dwarka, I mean the India, and the Arabian Sea data, more than 30 space studies. Go back to Srijan talk, 17,000 plus years of unbroken civilization, my talk. You can see this data, what I am just saying briefly. And you find sudden rise of 8 meters in the middle of 6 millennium BC. You know what middle of 6 millennium BC is? 5561 or 5525 BC, and there is another additional rise of 8 meters in the 4th millennium BC. In fact, that explains why Dholavira was a port, and Dholavira was a port for 2000 years. In fact, for other dates, for flooding of a Dwarka, at least just from the oceanographic corroborative data, there is no more flooding. In fact, the water that was there from 4000 BC to 2000 BC was 3 meters above what the sea water is today. There is a sufficient oceanography evidence for that, there is sufficient seismology evidence for that, on and on. Any other questions? All right, we answered all the questions.
कमेंट हो सकते हैं एक्चुअली आप सभी के लिए कमेंट है जैसे एक बार आप डैलस में जब आपका हुआ था तो प्रोफेसर सुभाष काग भी थे उन्होंने कहा कि 3102 BC के आसपास घूम रहे थे मेरी पर्सपेक्टिव यही है उसको देखने का कि देखिए हमें जब साइंस पढ़ाई जाती है तो उसमें पॉलीज एक्सक्लूजन प्रिंसिपल बताया गया है कि नो टू इलेक्ट्रॉन्स कैन हैव अ सेम नंबर ऑफ क्वांटम नंबर्स इन अ गिवन एटम तो वही चीज़ थोड़ी अगर हम इस पर्सपेक्टिव में अप्लाई करते हैं कि नो टू दीज ग्रेट इवेंट्स कैन हैव मतलब इतने बड़े इवेंट को 2 बार में नहीं हो सकता वो बार एक बार वो एक ही बार होगा और बस हम इसी चीज़ के लिए हम करे जा रहे हैं कि हाँ और दूसरी बात इसमें एक साइंस में ये भी है कि आप जो हाइंसबर्ग अनसर्टेनिटी प्रिंसिपल होता है उसमें कहता है यू कैन नॉट लोकेट पोजीशन एंड मोमेंटम साइमल्टेनियसली द सेम थिंग इज विद द महाभारत टेक्स्ट ऑल्सो यू कैन हर चीज़ वो नहीं डिस्क्राइब कर सकते हैं आप अपने मॉडल से सिमुलेशन से कुछ चीज़ होंगी जो रह जाएंगी हमें ये देखना होगा कि हम वाइडर पर्सपेक्टिव में कितनों को अकोमोडेट कर सकते हैं और कितनों को नहीं कर सकते
करेक्ट दैट्स अ साइंस प्रिंसिपल राइट मोर द मेरियर मोर इट कैन एक्सप्लेन व्हिच इज व्हाट at any given time there is no final word on anything but that's why हम बोलते हैं कि चलो चलते रहेगा ये डिबेट चलते रहेगा ना ऐसा नहीं है at any given I mean I was talking to him at any given point you can discern निर्णय between what is available which looks like a best that's what science is for example I was at Oxford and this one person came to me because I had used the metaphor of a Newton and he said you know what but Newton was wrong and therefore like I am wrong.
But not at the time.
No, even not now. I mean still we can use the Newtonian laws to put a man on the moon and that kind of thing. But what I told him is like he ran away. He just said that and ran away. I caught him in the next break. I said you can't run like that. I said okay so Newton is wrong. You are right. But Newton is less wrong than Kepler. Kepler is less wrong than Copernicus. Copernicus is less wrong than Ptolemy. So what we are looking for is elimination, not elimination, minimization of error. That is yam pashyanti yataya kshina dosha. It's not saying eliminate the errors, minimize the errors. Instead you can get to truth.
Can I just add because this 3102 BCE keeps coming up. Look, there are a lot of astronomers in the past who have looked for this Kali-yuga conjunction of 7 planets, okay? And some people have said it's impossible till 3102 BCE, that's correct. But there are 2 Maharashtrian astronomers in the past who have looked at this. I forget their names, but perhaps Nilesh will know. There is a conjunction which occurs in 16, 17, 18 February of 3104 BCE. The astronomical Kali-yuga, there is a conjunction, it is within approximately 40 degrees. All the 7, all the Saptagrahas, okay, they are definitely conjunct in that particular period. It is one of my slides, but I mean, there's no time.
I may add something that might make you very happy. Dr. Anil Narayanan, who we work together and discuss many things, former ISRO scientist, now works in Washington DC. He keeps on publishing into indiafacts.org. He recently published something and I'm saying if Manish Pandit is going to look at this, he is going to just jump with a joy, but be careful, okay. So actually what he has shown is 3066, now he will like that, is the possible time for a astronomical that conjunction. I'll send you the link. Okay, and then of course then he says maybe using that as a thing people might have added 36 years before by the way and gone to 3102 and that is a Mahabharat war. You read that paper, it's very fascinating.
Very quickly as well, you know, Praptam Kaliyugam Vidhi, at the time of the Gada Yuddha, Krishna is actually saying that Kali Yuga has started because, you know, as you remember, Bhim has broken the thighs of Duryodhan, which is adharmic, and then in fact he goes and kicks the head of Duryodhan, which Yudhishthira tells him you should never do that to a Pratidvandi. And what he says at that point to Balrama is that Kali Yuga has already started. That is why we are saying, you see, this is a very, these two dates are although we are, you know, different dates completely. 3067, the uniqueness of that date is, it is not reliant on Kali Yuga for that point. However, it is on this side of Kali Yuga. You see, everybody else is on that side of Kali Yuga because they've all taken 3102, 36 years after that for the destruction. We can prove that the Abhimanyu's birth, when it occurred, the Mars, Jupiter and Saturn retrogression occurs very few times together. At that point, the Yadava chiefs went for a pilgrimage, 3084 BCE. We can show you that on the sky map. We can show you almost every event, including the birth of the Pandavas.
Yeah, the question is, does it match for 3067?
It matches. It matches for 3067.
Because you have to have those evidences that you said in the Mahabharata text for Abhimanyu's birth.
They are there. They are there.
Show me. Okay, it's on the camera.
But yeah, I mean, you know, now.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Sir, one suggestion, sir.
Yeah.
Like,
for both of us. Okay.
well, for everyone, what happened, like, first time I read the date 5561 from Hanuman Prasad's book.
Hanuman Prasad Poddar.
पोद्दार साहब की किताब में, बहुत पुरानी किताब है, 1928 में उन्होंने गीता प्रेस शुरू करी थी, 1940 के आसपास की किताब होगी, उनके वो एस्ट्रोनॉमिकल एविडेंस उनके पास शायद थे या नहीं थे, उन्होंने उसके बाद कक्षा 7 में 6 में पढ़ा, सन 70 के आसपास, कि महाभारत जो है वो 600 BC में हुआ.
Yeah, so that is a problem.
No, make it short. Make it short because 600 BC is
no,
like
what you are saying is it should be in the textbooks that it has occurred so many thousand years ago.
Latest confusion has been created by Debroy books.
But
1800.
Yeah.
It is impossible. 1800 and all those dates are impossible. 3000 BC, 5000 BC, I am happy to speculate on those and give evidences on those on either side, okay? But 1800, both of us are adamant that it is impossible. See, Iyengar claims 1478, okay? There are a lot of these researchers like Datercock 1198, but they are all coming from this Indus Valley, my feeling, they are coming from the Indus Valley civilization kind of thing and the Aryan invasion kind of thing. We don't accept that and we are able to show a lot of stuff in evidence of our date. So, whatever else our differences may be, we are saying 3000 BC and plus is Mahabharat date. Okay, that's it.
So, abhi dekho, we both of us presented our positions. Okay. Now, some people were already saying, I mean, are we so naive? Some people were saying, oh, hopefully you finally agree to thing. You know what? He and me possibly will never agree. But it doesn't matter. You know, it is what you have to take. This is the whole idea. You say कि चलो हमने सुन लिया अभी घर जाते हैं अभी जो करना है वो करते हैं. No, guys, this will continue for another 1000 years. Otherwise, you know, एक क्या है ना कि मूर्खों की सारी रात चतुर की एक घड़ी. It doesn't take much. If you understand the basic principles, you can always find which is a better claim.
See, the point is like this, okay? I have always said this one thing. 3000 BCE and beyond, okay? We are going to have to fight really hard to push all this. Now, this 1800 BC claim, my last talk, I would have shown you Gautam Buddha, we have a sensational new claim of 1807 BC. We are able to prove it on the basis of winter solstice, 2 eclipses and so on. We are able to prove it absolutely, and I will be presenting it hopefully either IIT Kanpur or I will be presenting it just after that to the police forces in Lucknow, okay, in the next 2 days. So, but I am telling you 1800 BC and all that is all gone, okay, it's gone, it's history.
We'll just take one last question and then we'll meet out.
Okay.
So what are the ways to counter the great Indian mythologists and to educate them?
Okay, so you want to go? Okay. I mean, I will say the mythologies, what happens is
You're talking about a particular mythologist.
particular yeah.
I understand.
But no, I mean, we
are able to understand.
No, we can take the name. We can take the name. That's not a problem. Okay, you're Patnaik. You have a Patnaik in mind. No. See, guys. See, that's another thing. I mean, you are going to hide around and say, hey, guys, you do the shooting. Hell no. You know, I mean, we all have to get in. Like, you know, I mean, people say, like, you know, something, Nilesh ji, idhar aisa aaya, usko kya response, kuch to de do. Arey, what nonsense? I mean, you start out.
No, you guys have to give the response.
So my answer is, I mean, my generic answer to that, Swadhyaya Pravachanecha. Self-study and then detailed understanding. नहीं हमारे से वो होगा नहीं. There are engineers who say, I don't understand astronomy. I said, take away your professional engineer title.
Can I just say, I have challenged Audrey Trushke and all these other people on camera, come unedited and, you know, fight with us on camera. What I'm trying to say is that nobody has accepted our challenge. My other challenge, which is still standing, nobody else can accept it and nobody else will accept it, nobody else can prove it, is that mission of peace timeline can only be corroborated in 3067 BCE. That Balrama timeline only 3067 BCE. I have offered 1 lakh rupees. Come and take the 1 lakh rupees from me if you can corroborate it. Nobody can do it. Well, it is important, you know, because this 3067, you see, because then ask any of these people who are talking about 1800, 1400, this mythologist and all these people, come and take the money from me, prove it that I am telling you it cannot occur beyond that day, you know, beyond that
Correct.
day.
See,
End of matter.
I won't do it for 1 lakh rupees.
No, the point is not that. The point is that the 1 lakh rupees which you are talking about over there is simply to give some sort of a reward, right? I mean, it could be 10 lakhs, it could be 1 crore, but the point is it cannot be proved. That's the point.
When he raises the number, I will come and then
Oh well, anyway, okay. I will definitely think about it.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you, Nilesh.
Thank you. Thank you.